Welcome back to the Sound for More channel. Today I have the pleasure to introduce you to Yonac Taurus, a fantastic effect. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. As you can see, we are inside AUM, so it goes without saying, AUv3 compliant. So we start creating an audio channel, and on the insert effects here, we click plus on the plus sign, and then I like to search for Yonac because it's easier to bring up all the different effects. So in this case, you can see Taurus. Okay, so click on it, and you can see, then you can open it up, and you have these wonderful red UI, this rich colored UI. So it's part of the Zodiac family of effects, and it's called Taurus. And it's what they call an Octavizer. So it uses octave to add additional voices up to 5. You can immediately see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different voices. You can control them all differently. But the controls are very much the same. So when you learn to one part, you know, and the other part as well. So before we go, we delve into the details of how it works, let's choose an audio source, and we are going to choose Piano Tech. And the reason for that is because I have also wonderful guitar sound in it. So we're going here on the preset, and we are going to choose this classical guitar warm effect. Okay, the volume is already turned down a little bit, which is great. We're going to remove the reverb effect. Okay, and now we're going to link it to the keyboard like so that I can bring up the AUM keyboard. So remember, this is an audio effect, so no MIDI effect, although you can use MIDI CC messages to control some of the parameters. Indeed, if I click up here, you can see it exposes a large number of parameters. Therefore, what you can do, if you see it has, it exposes things like level, here like sub level, right? And therefore it means that you could have a ramp of CC messages through a DAW to actually get additional voices coming in gradually. So you can control all those parameters through a DAW, through another application. So let's start first of all disabling this and hearing the guitar from Piano Tech. What I'm also going to do to avoid pressing the wrong notes, I'm going to create a MIDI channel, and in here I'm going to choose Note B, which is a fantastic app released by JMOL. I'm going to connect the keyboard here from AUM to this MIDI input, okay, and then I'm going to open it up, select all scale, to affect all the different octaves, and then as a scale I'm going to select minor. And then instead of connecting the keyboard directly to Piano Tech, we are going to connect Note B as a MIDI input to Piano Tech. That means that if I press a C here, I have a C. If I press a C sharp, I still have a C. So it's still following that C minor scale. So if I make any mistakes, you will not hear them, which is really nice. So as I said, this is the keyboard's sound, I should say the guitar sound from Piano Tech. Now, let's introduce Taurus. Now, I like to start with an init preset. So I click here. This is the typical user interface from all Yonac and apps. So you should be already familiar with this. If not, check some of my previous tutorial. But you will find here at the bottom it says init, and it's really great. You click on it and you have an initialized preset. So click on the name of the preset to exit there. Now, what I like to do is to explain how it works is to mute all the other parts except the first one. So this M is for muting, then you have S for solo. And we have only this direct part, okay, which is active. Now, I can turn it off like so, all right, or on clicking on it again. So let's bring up again the keyboard. So resize the windows and let's play now. So again, you hear only that keyboard, right? So let's introduce now the first voice direct. Now you have pan left and right, of course. Okay, but you have level. Double click to reset any controls. But then you have saturation, which you can activate with this button, and also the tone, so level and tone. You will notice it is clipping up here. And so you have different ways to avoid that. So you have post effect if you click on post here, and you can activate the compressor, and then you can choose the amount of the gain and the attack of that compressor. You also have a room effect for which you can decide the amount, the size, and the spread over the stereo channels. And then you have an equalizer. Again, you have 3 bands here: bass, mid, and treble. You can adjust the frequency and the Q, of course, here, and then you can adjust the gains. This section is quite great because you have the ability to add cabinet emulation. The I is the direct without cabinet emulation, but you can choose US small, big, twin, quad. So it's really, really great. So at the moment I have activated compressor. So that avoids that clipping over there. As you move between presets, it will disable the compressor. So what I like to do is double click here, add another note, and then search for something like a soft limit. A soft limiter here, which we add here, and then we just use that one. So don't have to worry as I move between presets. But remember, you can act on the compressor. And while I'm here, I'm going to show you why not the room emulation. So as you can hear, it is really, really good when it comes to applying effects to guitar. So let's change the cabinet to US big. So great possibility. Click on post again to close that window. Here you have your input in decibel and also your output in decibel. Okay, so you can change the saturation intensity and the saturation tone. You have muting and solo here, level, and then left and right panel. Now, if you press here where it says effect, there is an arrow going down. It will reveal additional option for each of the voices. So you have a variable equalization here where you can adjust the frequency and the gain. You have the high cut for capturing high frequency here, which you can change. You can add some delay, some feedback in terms of resonance, and then you can adjust the gain for the lower part of the equalizer and the attack. And those controls are actually repeated for all the different voices, as you can see. So act on that, just play with them as you see fit. Be careful because you might be hearing at the moment some crackling is because I'm picking, so be very careful in the way that you're using it. Of course, you can apply a limiter after the effect, but it doesn't mean that it's not picking and creating artifacts inside Taurus itself. So just a bit of warning there. But these controls are actually the same for all the different voices. So let's move up like so. Click on the same button. We return from the to the original controls for each of the voices. So now we've seen the direct one, okay? And you can still, by the way, decrease here the output in decibel. Now, the second voice here is adding a voice up to 2 octaves below the current voice. This other one, the bass, is between sorry, the first one is between 1 to 2 octave. The second one is up to 2 octave, but starting from the current one, the direct one. And then you have the opposite for overtone and top. So overtone up to 2, the top from 1 to 2 octave above. Okay, so it's like saying -2 octave here on the sub, -1 octave on the bass, +1 octave on the overtone, +2 octave on the top, to simplify the explanation. Okay, so how does it work? Let's unmute each part. I might want to remove the saturation here on the direct. I can remove the level as well, so you don't hear the direct, only the sub. And of course I can activate saturation. Okay, let's mute that and let's go to the bass now. Then the overtone, saturation, and then of course the top one. And of course, let's now add them together gradually, one by one. So, direct, sub, bass. Let's remove the saturation. Overtone, top. To some extent, it sounds a little bit like an organ, but of course, when you start to add saturation, remember, you still have post effects that you can use. Now that we have seen how it works, of course, let's check some presets. So you have two number of banks. Favorites here, recent used, bank 1 and bank 2. Let's start with bank 1. You can see here on the output is almost picking or thereabout. So again, be careful in the ways that you use it, but it can be quite powerful. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's an Octavizer, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So is adding voices through different octaves. And the reason we say up to is because you have also a possibility to change the tone and other different delay, feedback, etc. So sometimes you are in between octaves as well. Okay, so now this is using a guitar sound, and now what we could do is perhaps remove the keyboard, bring in Polyad, like so, connect it to a note B. Instead of the keyboard, we have Polyad, and then we are going to randomize the sequence of notes, like so. It doesn't matter the scale because we have note B, which is constraining or quantizing the notes. So let's open up again Taurus, let's play. Perhaps we could change the tempo here. Instead of 1/8, would you go for 1/16? Okay, to make it more interesting. So you get the idea. Now, in terms of effect here, or setting, I should say, here you have setting for, of course, your Omni. In terms of channel, you can do MIDI learn, and you can, of course, act on your CC messages. You can clear the mapping, etc., etc. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of using it. Now, let's remove Piano Tech and let's bring in some drum sound like Hammerhead. We just open it up, we just load a factory preset like the Bristol one, decrease the volume, and let's listen first without the effect. Okay, so let's introduce now the effect and let's play with some of the presets. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with the basic. I hope you agree with me. Big difference, right? So I think it works really, really well with guitar sounds. It works extremely well with drum sound as well. So let's see what happens when we add something like perhaps vocal. And in my view, it needs more work when it comes to actually using vocals. And you will hear what I mean in a moment. So let's click play first.
There's not much to do.
Okay, that is what we have. And now let's start with something again from bank one, something basic.
Don't know where you are, 'cause you're not here. It's been too long.
So, in my view, it's better you go to Init and then you apply the different voices one by one and listen.
If I could lay down beside you, I would. When nothing really matters, that's all I wanna do. I hope that you are safe and that I will see you soon. If I could lay down beside you, I would. There's not much to do when I'm walking. It's something about what don't.
Of course, as you move up the octave, particularly when you enable the top one, it suffers of a bit of formant misrepresentation or artifacts through the formant. It doesn't do anything like a Mellavox. So if you were to, for example, apply Mellavox here, which is another fantastic app from 4Pockets, you see that it will have what is called formant preservation. here, which avoid that type of Mickey Mouse type of sounds, which you don't have here because you just apply another voice, right? So when you go very high, it tends to distort that voice to sounds a little bit like childish or Mickey Mouse type of sounds. But that is because it's not specialized for vocal. But it does not mean that it cannot create, of course, a very special vocal effects. Equally, again, if we were to apply a different type of audio, let's say we go for something created by another application like this, perhaps this one. Let's try without Taurus. It is great, right? It absolutely sounds great. It really transforms the track. So I think is an absolute fabulous effect. I think it works extremely well with guitar type of sound, drum, general tracks as well. With vocal, it works okay, but you need to do some work, in my view, with it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and demonstration. And as always, see you next time. Bye.